God is a giver. Continue. God's complaint against them was the hard attitude they had in making the offerings. God didn't need the sacrifices. They were a prophetic foreshadow of how Christ would offer his blood in payment for our sins. The Israelites were going through the motions of making the offerings, but they weren't giving their heart to God. They thought they were making sacrifices because God somehow needed their bulls and goats. In this passage, God was making it clear that he didn't need anything from them. Everything already belonged to the Lord. They needed to give back to God and show their trust and dependence upon him. It wasn't for God. It was for them. God could have set up church finances differently. He could have made every minister of the gospel independently wealthy, like he made Abraham, Isaac, David, Solomon, and all the rest. God doesn't need your money any more than he needed those Old Testament sacrifices. The reason God asks you to give a tithe of finances is for you to learn to recognize God as the source of all of your money. It's one thing to say you believe God is your source, but it's another thing to prove it. The way you prove it to yourself, not to God, that you believe God is your source, is to give a portion of what you make back to him. If you don't really see God as your source, you are going to hesitate at giving away part of what you have. But giving back some of what God has already given you is nothing when you see him as your source. Money is difficult to come by when you think of yourself as the provider, and giving it away would only seem to put you further away from the goal of having all your needs met, which would be true if God wasn't your source. In God's economy, you move closer towards your goal by giving than you do by clinging to everything you have. It all comes down to faith, and that's why God told you to give.